Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So over the past few weeks and even months, there has been an intense battle of these streaming platforms taking place as Twitch is sat in the corner huffing glue and dishing out consistently greedy and out of touch policies. Traditional competitors like YouTube and up-and-coming competitors like Kick have been doing their best to take advantage of Twitch's shortcomings and bring streamers over to their platforms. This effort has intensified recently due to multiple wet farts Twitch has laid, including their sad attempt to eliminate virtually all sponsorship opportunities for their streamers, banning simulcasting, threatening to charge creators a fee if they switch platforms, and even allowing their mods to harass streamers who criticize their latest policy changes. And as I was preparing this video, Twitch made another desperate attempt at damage control, giving the impression that they're going to upgrade their streamers to a 70-30 revenue cut. But as I will state later on in this video, that is a huge misrepresentation that will only affect less than 1% of their total Twitch streamers. But while YouTube has gained momentum from Twitch's L compilation, Kick has been the main focus of attention for a lot of content creators. Over the past few weeks, Kick has been winning by sitting there and reminding content creators of their 95.5 revenue share, while Twitch, with their 50-50 revenue share, goes on a self-jihad, destroying their own platform and policies so bad it's to the point that it's forcing neutral parties like Mr. Beast to rally against them in support of alternatives like Kick. Including myself, by the way, I now have a Kick account. It's mainly a placeholder if you want to follow it. The chances of me streaming on there are pretty slim, and I'm no shill for Kick, by the way, but it's important to look at what it can offer content creators instead of simply just writing it off for reasons of virtue signaling like many others are attempting to do. So besides the vastly superior revenue split, Kick also hosts far more creative freedom than Twitch. There's definitely a Wild West feel over there at the moment, much like many other streaming platforms when they start off. Many, like myself, see that as an exciting situation. However, a large portion of the VTubing community, used to their virtual hug boxes and safe spaces, are threatened by this and are actively advocating against migration to Kick and even judging streamers who consider it. Sentiments that are reflected by this thread posted by a Vtuber journalist working for Dixerto. So before I criticize some of these points, let's quickly read through this thread. It states, if you're a Vtuber who preaches inclusivity, Kick/Rumble are not Twitch alternatives for you. Those platforms are shady at best financially and actively hostile to diverse creators. Don't get allured by the bag. It's not guaranteed, much like Mixer, Facebook, and Trovo before. I thought I could avoid much of this discussion, but I keep seeing VTubers swap onto Kick, see the culture, and then recoil. If you really want to leave Twitch, YouTube is right there. There's pros and cons to both, but at least it's not soul selling. I remember when Kick launched, I was one of the first to report on it. I was quite interested in the 95-5 split and wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. Its moderation problems and crypto backing was revealed quickly. It's only spiraled since then. Don't move there. So as you can see, a big theme of this thread is inclusivity, where this VTuber journalist is saying it is impossible if you support inclusivity in your community to exist on platforms like Kick or Rumble, which I think is incredibly hypocritical. There is hateful people and bigots, bullies, and alike on every single streaming platform that exists. Not just streaming platforms, but social media in general. You're going to find hateful people on Twitch, YouTube, and even Twitter. I find it very ironic that this thread exists on Twitter telling people about inclusive environments and that some places like Kick are just complete no's. Like, you can't be there if you support inclusivity. Meanwhile, the big bad people from Kick, like many people are pointing out in the replies, like Aiden Ross, for example, they have Twitter accounts. They are actively tweeting. So are you not allowed to be on Twitter if you promote inclusivity because they exist there as well? Of course not. So I don't understand what's so unique about Kick, where if some hateful people exist there, nobody who supports inclusivity can also exist on that platform without causing issues. But here's the thing. There's been a lot of talk about safe spaces in the VTuber community. A lot of VTubers focus on safe spaces, and you know what? If that's your thing, great. Go for it. But that is not an expectation that should be placed on every single streamer. There's been a lot of pushback against this. We've seen big VTubers like Silverveil and Vebe and people like that really question this whole idea of safe spaces. They are not safe spaces. They are there to entertain, just like the vast majority of viewers want. They want to be entertained. They don't want a virtual hug box that's not going to upset them over tiny issues. Nobody wants to walk on eggshells while they're streaming and worrying about every little trigger that might upset an individual person in their stream. I'm not a person who wants to support a safe space in my community. I think I just lead by example, and that's the big thing here. If you want to have certain values like being inclusive in your content, lead through your content and your own community in moderation. These are all things you have control over, and it doesn't matter what platform that's taking place on. You control those things and whether or not you're going to be an inclusive stream or whatever sort of a message or environment you're trying to create. Now, there's this part here saying that it's actively hostile to diverse creators. I don't see any proof of that. There is a major difference between individual creators being hostile towards a certain group of people versus an entire platform being systematically hostile towards a group of people. Is Kick actively posting things that is discouraging diverse creators from going there, or minorities, or whatever you want to call these groups of people? Do they have policies in place to discourage them? Are they decompressing or deboosting their posts to hide them from exposure? I don't see any proof of that. And here's the thing. If you don't like some of the hateful people and you don't like what they're posting, simply don't watch them. You are not going to be forced to watch a hateful person stream on Kick. There's nothing unique about Kick in that regard. That's the same principle that applies to places like Twitch. If you don't like certain creators, you can very easily avoid them. But a lot of people in the replies brought up that this thread is not judging anyone, not being judged by this thread. Well, you absolutely are being judged. First of all, it's implying that if you support inclusivity, you cannot stream on Kick or Rumble. That's judgment to me. And this line here about soul selling, they're literally saying that you're selling your soul to go onto places like Kick and Rumble. That's judging someone. And this whole concept of chasing the bag. Well, you know what? Chasing the bag is very important. And it's one of the main reasons Twitch receives so much disdain from its creators. If Twitch right now came out and said everyone gets a 70-30 split on ad revenue sharing, people would hail Twitch as a hero. They would forget everything else Twitch has done. They would think Twitch is doing everything perfect, and they would forget all of the mistakes they've made over the past couple of weeks and months. It is very important. A lot of people are doing this for a living or even a monetized hobby. It is important to focus on chasing the bag, if you want to call it that. And this just goes into revenue in general. That 95-5 split is a huge deal. It is a very big deal. Creators should be properly compensated. Twitch should be put on blast for their continued greed and inability to fix their supposed infrastructure issues that forces their little small indie company to remain on that 50-50 split. Kick has been strongly hinting at something that's also very important, and that is a wage of $16 per hour for its streamers. This is something that they're hinting at. It is not in motion yet. But I mention this because, well, number one, it's a very impressive rate. It is more than virtually every minimum wage in the United States, by the way. But also, it is a great litmus test that'll be coming forward if it comes into motion, because let's see how many of these VTubers currently condemning Kick will change up their entire stance on that platform if that $16 an hour rate becomes a reality. And this whole thing just has to go with honesty, right? That is a main theme here. And, in that spirit of honesty, I'll be honest with you guys. I will say something that most people won't admit, but most people probably agree in private. As a content creator, I don't really care much about the source of what funds my platform. Everyone's worrying about these things down here, the crypto backing and things like that, and they're shady at best financially. But you know what? At the end of the day, a lot of people are like me. If the funding is there, that's great. People don't care as long as it's not like taking blood diamonds from child slaves in Africa or something. People are going to be okay with what's going on and what's funding them, okay? As long as it's halfway ethical, right? And I think that's just my honest opinion that reflects a lot of other people. I mean, just look at the flip side. Is Twitch and their financial backing some more legitimized? They're backed by Amazon. Are you trying to shill for Amazon? I mean, you have people in their factories, in their assembly lines, pissing their pants because they're afraid the AI tracking their physical movements might ding them for an extra bathroom break, and then they'll get instantly fired by a bot program. Okay, they're not the greatest company, okay? They have a lot of demons themselves. So I don't understand why Twitch is so clean and ethical for everyone else. And, speaking of, you're on Twitter, for example, that supports Elon Musk, who actually has used child labor to build his brand over at Tesla to build their cars. I mean, it's all just a bunch of hypocrisy, and ultimately, the next theme of this, virtue signaling. This whole thing is just backed by virtue signaling. Most of the contempt for Kick is just that, virtue signaling. Most of it comes from three sources, right? VTweeters, pre-debut VTubers, and VTubers with small audiences, all of which lack the motivation or the capability to relocate to a new platform. It is very easy to sit here and say, Kick bad, nobody go there, you're a bad person if you go there, when you either don't stream at all because you're a pre-debut or a VTweeter, or you're a small VTuber who just really doesn't have the ability to completely rebrand onto a new platform. And that's why it's easy to see, and it's easy clout right now, and that's just being honest. And in terms of moderation, the moderation down here being pointed out, moderation has always been up to the individual streamer and who they include in their streams. I don't think it's fair that on Twitch, you are responsible for finding your own mods and moderating your own chat and community. I think they should provide people to do that for you. But that's the standard. And that's the same case on YouTube, for example. And again, fair or unfair, there's nothing unique about Kick in that sense. If you have good mods, you're going to be well moderated on Kick. Okay, that's just the way it is. It is a carbon copy of Twitch. It is Twitch with a green set of paint on it. There's nothing really unique. If you have mods, you know what they're doing, they will function the exact same on Kick. Now, in terms of moderation, I saw this yesterday. I think this was a great move. So Kick announced that they banned one of their streamers for soliciting photos from a minor. Now that seems obvious, right? Well, duh, of course you're going to do that. Well, that's not so obvious. On places like YouTube and Twitch, there's people being outed as groomers and abusing children, and they either are completely untouched by those platforms other than, social consequences. They keep their contracts with those places, and maybe like a year or months down the road, they get banned. It's not as simple as it seems. This is a no-brainer, and I'm glad that Kick is taking fast action with stuff like that. That is a moderation thing, and it's good to see them on top of stuff like this. And I can't, go without mentioning Rumble in this video. I think, like I said, a lot of the focus has been on Kick as the main alternative to Twitch, but Rumble is another option. And like him or not, Andrew Tate yesterday had a stream on Rumble that had over 400,000 concurrent viewers at one point. That is a massive number. So for a lot of people saying it's completely garbage and not a single person cares about Rumble, well, you're wrong. And whether it has staying power, well, that's something to be seen, but they can pull impressive numbers on Rumble, and it is an option for people. So here's another thing I really wanted to mention. So literally right as I was getting ready to record this video, Twitch made this announcement, and it is very misleading. So when I first saw this, I got pretty excited. So we're seeing them say we want to help streamers keep doing what they love so we can keep all loving what they do, including the Partner Plus program. Check out the blog for more info. And a lot of people are like, whoa, this is crazy. And I saw initial reaction, like the first initial wave of reaction to this was like, oh my God, they're giving 70-30 splits. They're upping from 50-50 to 70-30. That's amazing. Well, you got to read the fine details because unfortunately, that is not what they're doing. So if you read through the stipulations here, basically in a nutshell, in order to be even eligible for this, you have to be a Twitch partner, which is very difficult to do. The standard for that is 75 concurrent viewers and some other watch time requirements. And on top of that, they always have the caveat of it's up to their discretion whether they're going to give it to you or not. I mean, personally, I'm not even a partner on Twitch despite meeting all those qualifications. I got rejected when I tried, and that's a very similar story for a lot of people. So that already knocks off a great deal of content creators because the majority are just simply affiliates and not partners. But going beyond that, so now you're a partner and you have to have at least 350 reoccurring paid subscriptions for 3 consecutive months to be eligible for this new 70-30 split, which at first glance sounds pretty reasonable. I think 350 is a reasonable number for someone who's a partner, right? To get 350 subs per month for 3 months in a row. But here's the thing. Read it carefully. It says reoccurring payments. So that excludes gifted subs and Amazon Prime subs, which for most people, that is the majority of the subs they receive. So 350 paid reoccurring subscriptions per month is a very high number, actually. That is a very high number and difficult. And I would guess somewhere in the range of less than 1% of active streamers on Twitch will even have a shot at getting the 70-30 split. Yeah, terrible look, and people are starting to realize this now and are really angry about this because they could have ended all of the criticism they're receiving by simply giving everyone, all streamers, a 70-30 split, making them competitive with YouTube on the same level of revenue sharing and making them a lot closer to that 95-5 split that Kick has. But that's going to do it for this video. This has been, I know, a lot about these streaming platforms. And in terms of Kick, I think it is a very interesting concept and where it's going to go. I'm not sure. Will it last for the long haul? I think it's going to be probably a very difficult road for them. But in terms of chasing the bag, I encourage people to go and do that. If you even get 6 good months out of Kick, good for you. I mean, how many times in life would you turn down an opportunity to make an increased pay for even 6 months at a temporary job where you can just return right back to Twitch or your old job and continue where you left off? I think it's a good experiment, something good for people to try if they're so inclined. And you shouldn't write it off just because of virtue signaling and people on Twitter telling you no without giving you an actual real reason why Kick is so much worse than these other platforms. But that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys listening to my thoughts. Please share all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.